Hi there, my name is Roxane Webster.
And I'm Keith Alba.
We are with my home team at Keller Williams Advantage Realty in scenic and sunny Denver, Colorado.
And welcome to An
The
Honest
Honest
Hour.
Hour.
Hey, we're back
Hey.
again for another version, another update.
We are nothing if not honest. Silly usually finds its way in there as well. You will love our content, so walk right over there and hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell so you're notified when we're doing something else spectacular, and share this content because it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Week after week, what you're going to find coming out of this Honest Hour is no spin, just straight information and how that may affect the real estate industry and potential ramifications of the information we're sharing.
That's right.
What's on the agenda for today, Rox?
Today we are talking about labor, right?
Not
labor.
Like having pains in my water broke.
Oh, you mean that labor?
Not that one. Not for me, at least.
We could do a quick pivot, right? You've seen Raising Arizona. Sometimes I get the cramps real bad.
Maybe not today. I don't know how we can spin that into the real estate market. And we just promise people that our content is going to be related to that. So let's talk jobs and labor.
All right. Well, we saw jobs reports come out, I think, last week. And nationally, we're sitting in the mid fives for unemployment, which, given the fact that we're still in the midst of a global pandemic, is not too shabby. Though Colorado, we're a little bit higher than that. We're sitting in the low sixes, 6.1 or 6.081 or something, as of my research last week. So we wanted to talk a little bit about it, especially in context of the K-shaped recovery that everybody was talking about at the beginning of this pandemic, which we, until this point, have really seen evidence was right on. When you see the lowest unemployment rates, they've been in sectors like finance and business. We see the highest unemployment rates, and those unemployment rates, finance and business, until August, we're sitting in the 3.1% range, whereas leisure and hospitality north of 9%. Then we see, I'm going to look over here, wholesale and retail really getting slammed too, still in that 6% range, 6.1, which is kind of the top of the comfort range for an unemployment rate in a healthy economy. And then we see them ticking down from there. That's where we were as of August, but the picture is changing a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that may not be aware or didn't get in on those conversations regarding a K-shaped recovery, what it was really referring to was how there were different sectors of our population that were experiencing the recovery much different, right? As Roxane mentioned, the leisure and hospitality group, they experienced more shutdowns. There was limitations on seatings, on, what they could and could not do, which obviously affected the number of employees that those businesses could hire, right? Mm-hmm. So for the industries like leisure and hospitality or the other ones, their recovery was much like a downward trend, right? They were spiraling for a long period of time in a downward fashion, just based off of the restrictions and the pieces that were there. For the ones like financial services, things along those lines, they had exemptions or they could work remotely from home. Right now, their recovery was much different. They saw their income increasing. They saw the people coming to them for assistance that were going up. And so there really is a story of two recoveries when you start breaking it down by sector and by piece. What I found really interesting recently, Rox, is the Colorado Department of Labor put out a new report. And we're seeing an inverse of that now. Right.
Really?
So in September, the largest number of jobs that were created were actually in that leisure and hospitality sector. Right. More jobs there than any of the others. Other services was number 2. Professional business services was 3. Trade, transportation, and utilities was number 4.
Wow.
And kind of all of those make some sense, especially I think we'll start seeing that transportation and that kind of stuff start rising even more. We're experiencing those labor shortages, the supply chain issues, and I think it's really a lack of people that are over there, and so we're going to start seeing a lot of those numbers. The leisure and hospitality, I think, is going to be completely dependent upon what new, if any, restrictions come out of, the COVID. Obviously, it's not gone. There's still certain restrictions in other areas. Do those increase? Do we see the hospitalization rates continue to tick back up? And if so, what does the government end up doing in response to that to try and curb that and go back to, saving the hospitals?
And that's kind of hoping that there's not some other nasty variant brewing up somewhere around the world to come over here for a visit, but we won't darken our hearts with that thought. The other thing that was really interesting to me about this report, as a woman, four times more women than men dropped out of the labor force in September. That's enormous, right? That takes us back to Rosie the Riveter in a lot of ways. And when I ask myself why, and economists and people with more letters after their name probably have more analysis than I do, but my gut reaction probably comes down to childcare, right? Women who have kids, they figure it out. You have kids, you figure out daycare, grandma, whoever it is that's going to take care of those kids. I think that the fact that schools have been open again, closed again, remote learning, partial learning, daycare, no daycare, I think that there's a huge sector of the economy of females in the economy who just have had no choice but to say, if there's going to be one thing constant in my child's life right now, it's going to be that I'm at home. And I'm going to be very interested to see what that does to the long-term economic prospects, how this sets women back in their career progression, in all kinds of things. So that's a huge number for me, and I think we should be keeping real close eye on that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you told me about that. I was staggered by that amount, but I think the childcare piece makes some sense. I think probably, when we look at the two industries the two sectors that lost the most amount of jobs, education and health services, and then financial activities were the two sections that were there. I don't know what the breakdown looks like for, in regards to teachers, male versus females, and then the health services regards, how many females, that are in there. But I think that would make some sense that more females are in the education and in the health services as a whole, would be my guess along those lines. And to see those numbers dropping, coupled with the 4 times stats that you're just mentioned, it kind of adds up. It's logical on that side, but how scary is that, right? That now we're going back to school, we're sending our kids back to in-person learnings, those sorts of things, but the number of jobs that are supporting those kids is dropping. Right?
That's right. Same thing with hospitals, right? At just a point where we've got, 2 states right now are at crisis standards of care, meaning that they're at capacity, man. You go in there with a regular old heart attack or a car wreck, you may or may not get care depending upon how likely you are to survive. And you take that right now and have a bunch of people in the health industry throwing up their hands and saying, all right, this is for the birds. I'm out of here, baby. It's a bumpy ride in those sectors. And you're right. I think, but then, you balance that with the fact that on one side, we've got the 6.1% unemployment in Colorado. And on the other side, I can't drive down the street without seeing 30 help wanted. And I don't buy it. It's all because people are sitting home and gathering education. I think that we're seeing an overall reassessment in people. I know I feel it in myself. What am I doing with my life? Am I doing it because I chose to do it, because I love to do it? Maybe it's time to go back to school. Maybe it's time to do other things. Again, we don't know where this all ends up, but it's very interesting to be living through. Yeah,
kind of keep an eye on and watch. I mean, obviously, unemployment and income and those sorts of pieces are going to affect people's ability and willingness to buy a house. That's out there. So it's important numbers to keep an eye on. That's why we brought it to you here in the Honest Hour this week. I don't know. Like Rox said, we don't know where this is going to go. Ideally, we continue to see the unemployment rates dropping. We start seeing people get gainfully employed in whatever career that they want to go after and go and get. And it stabilizes the economy, and we just keep moving forward.
And we all live happily ever after.
Right.
Well, welcome again to this week's version of the Honest Hour. Again, remember to hit that subscribe button if you like our content, and ring the little bell for notifications, and share this with others. We look forward to being back next week.
We'll see you then.